Welcome back to the sixth episode of We Three Bros podcast. I got Joseph again with me today. How's it going, Joseph?
It's going well. Hello, everybody. It's good to have everybody back. For our two listeners that are listening, we appreciate you. I'm totally kidding. We thank everybody who listens. But yeah, I'm doing well, man. What about yourself, Derek?
I'm good. It's my Friday, so 3-day weekend. Can't be mad about that.
Oh, must be nice, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Justin can't make it again today. He's got that busy work schedule, making all the potato chips for you guys out there.
We appreciate you, Justin, man. A true man of sacrifice.
But hopefully he should be able to return next week. So, but then we'll lose Joseph for another week.
Yeah, I'll be gone next week, but I'll make sure to make that the one after that. So it'll just be Justin and Derek possibly, but I can trust these guys to make sure that this podcast is successful, or that episode at least is successful. But we'll see.
All right, so let's get right into it. What do you want to talk about today? What do you got going on?
I have a few topics, man, but the first one I want to start off with is the brand new episode of Loki. For some reason, I couldn't sleep at night. It was about 2 a.m, and I was like, you know what? I think Loki came out today. I went ahead and turned it on. But before I get into my first impressions, Derek, man, what did you think?
I was pretty happy with the episode. So I've watched the other two series, I guess, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And it seems like they get better each one. WandaVision was good. Falcon and Winter Soldier was better. And after just watching this first episode of Loki, I feel like it's going to be even better than the previous two, than WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Of course it's got all the references to all the, the rest of the MCU.
Yeah.
But just so far, the character build out so far is really good. The slight reveal at the end, it doesn't really, I don't think it'll spoil the rest of the series, but
okay.
The story so far seems pretty good. I'm looking forward to next Wednesday for sure.
Yeah, same here, man. I will say when I first watched it, one of the first things that caught my attention immediately was, well, one, right, the way that it starts off is, kind of in the in-game, movie, right?
Yeah.
Whenever the Avengers are going back into the different timelines and they're trying to, get the Tesseract, and Loki just kind of take it. And, I completely forgot that happened. Like, I forgot that Loki took it and he just disappeared and we didn't see him again. Right.
Yeah.
Of course, it starts off with him just kind of ending in some random desert, and he wakes up and just, I think it said Mongolia is where he landed.
Yep.
And he was just kind of like trying to talk to people and trying to be the old Loki, right? The one who was like, hey, man, you don't know me. I'm this guy. I'm, the king of all these kings and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And then these people are like, who the hell are you? Right. And all of a sudden time cops show up. Right. And they're like, what the hell are you doing? So they take him. Right. So they take him and they bring him back to, I want to call it a space station. It's probably not a space station. It's somewhere within the universe or the timelines, right? And they take him there. And one of the first impressions I got, man, was this is a cool 70s, like 50s type of office, right?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, man, that was like the first thing I got. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it seemed
old,
retro, but high tech at the same time.
Exactly. Very retro, very high tech. And that was like my initial first impressions. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? They could have made it very futuristic. They could have made it, similar, just something is similar to like, Men in Black or something, right? Whenever they kind of go into the offices, everything's very future, very high tech, maybe 3-dimensional. And they're like, no, man, they got like typewriters and computers and, the old school, like Windows 95 computers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he's going in there and he's in there cocky, right? He's just like, oh, who the hell do you guys think you are? And they immediately are like, we don't give a shit who you are. You are an ant compared to, to larger bugs, right? To a beetle kind of thing, right? And so, that was something that was really cool. I really liked, his character and like you said, like development of his character and kind of like they had to break him, right? Like they had to
Yeah.
let him know, like, hey man, you're not special, and not to get philosophical or anything like that, but one of the things that was kind of like touched upon within the episode that I kind of liked was the fact that he's like, we have free will, right, and we have the ability to kind of make any choice we want to, and it's just like our life isn't played out, or you can make an argument, right? Some people are like, oh yeah, we have the choice in our life, there isn't, our life isn't already written in a book, right? And immediately with this character, it's just all like, yeah, Loki, you think you're this awesome, person that you get free will and free decision, but it's like, no, we actually run shit, right? Like
Yeah.
we run things here, and who you think you are is not who you think you are, and it humbles him, right? And then obviously you get to see him, very emotional, there, and he kind of just sounded like struggles with, like, man, I'm not special anymore. So that's kind of one thing, but yeah, I'm kind of deviating here a little bit, but that's one of the things I really liked about the show, right? Was like the visuals, kind of, the storyline. I'm really intrigued to see where they're going to go. I will say, man, I'm gonna get really confused once they start introducing different universes, right?
Yeah.
But that's how most comic books are, right? Marvel
Yeah.
is really heavily on, like, so many different universes where, like, for example, Spider-Man, right? When, Into the Spider-Verse, when that movie came out, I mean, obviously I think that was probably the first movie where they introduced that kind of like timeline, or
Yeah.
not the timeline, but the different parallel universes where,
Yeah.
but in comic books, it's always like that, right? There's always different variations of this particular character, and I think it's awesome that they're like introducing this in there. I mean, they did it at WandaVision a little bit, but with this one, it's like, hey, this is the storyline, this is the TVA, this is who we are, and we're gonna kind of run everything, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I just didn't know if I liked the aspect of the TVA, and it's like three individuals, these all-seeing figures that are just kind of like, hey, we have a universe, and whenever you guys start acting like assholes and trying to do your own thing within the universe, we come in and we're like, hey, bring this back. There's too much
Yeah.
chaos. There's too many different branches within this storyline. Bring this shit back, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know if I was a huge fan of that, but I guess I get it, right? They got to kind of tie things together.
Yeah. And all this will probably come together, as the series goes on, of course. But if you look forward to, say, the next Spider-Man, No Way Home,
Yeah.
they're saying alternate realities in that one too, or alternate universes. Who knows right now for sure? We've only gotten speculation and supposed leaks. You don't know what you can trust and what you can't. And then
Yeah.
also the next Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's in the
Oh
title,
yeah.
multiverse. So all this is probably going to lead into one, if not both of those, at some point. Um, Kind of something we'll just have to wait and see as the series goes on,
Yeah.
and see where it goes.
How do you feel about the characters' interactions? Like, did you like Owen Wilson and his kind of dynamic? I think that there was some of the things that were identified was the fact that he was like, he kind of looked at him like, oh man, like he's a great character, almost idolized him, and then like at
Yeah,
the same time, as they continued the conversation, it was just like, you suck, Loki. Like, yeah, I may have seemed like I liked you, but you kind of suck here.
I think he was just trying to show him that he's not who he thinks he is, and he's who he thinks others are. Because remember the line that he used about fear making the weak. I can't remember exactly what he said,
Hmm.
but then after he did his escape, and then it came back to that room, and you saw it clicked in him. He's like
Yeah.
he figured out that he's the weak one.
Yep. And the TVA people are apparently the most powerful. And I think, remember when he was in that, I can't remember the character's name, but he's just like, hey, I'll gut you like a fish. And he's like, what's a fish? That
Yeah,
guy, like whenever he's in that room,
yeah,
and, he's just like, he opens a drawer, obviously, and you see the Infinity Stones, right? And,
yeah,
Marvel, right, it's been kind of just like, oh, guys, guess what? These Infinity Stones are the most powerful things in the universe. You unite them, like, they're great. And they're just like, we use these for paperweights. And you're
yeah,
like, what? But he realizes as he's standing in that room and he's kind of looking at, like, there's a screen that he's looking at, and you can kind of see they're
yeah,
following the timeline, or that universe, or that particular, I guess timeline, right? You could kind of put that again. I don't understand this stuff very well, but it's that single timeline. As that was continuing, I guess he realized at that moment. He even says it, he's like, I think this is the most powerful, more powerful entity in the universe,
yeah.
right? And so it's
And
kind of like, okay, and I'm intrigued. So I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like I'm intrigued to see where he's going to go next with that, and
Yeah.
what is his mindset going to be, right?
And I think the reason that like none of those artifacts have power there, Loki doesn't have a power there. Because remember in the courtroom, he was trying to like, he's like, hold on a second. He's like trying to make his powers,
I love the
make his,
comedic,
yeah.
the
I think
comedy stuff there.
that whatever space they occupy is outside of the timeline, and therefore nothing that works in the timeline will work outside of the
Ooh,
timeline. So anything
yeah.
in that space doesn't work that comes from our timeline or Loki's timeline. You know what I'm trying to say. Like
No, yeah,
only the stuff
absolutely.
that they have works for them because like the collar worked, their phase sticks or whatever they called them worked. Their portals work, but those work because they were made there, and everything that was in from that comes from the MCU timeline won't work in there.
Oh, wow.
So that's why the
Yeah,
Tesseract doesn't work. That's why Loki doesn't have his powers.
that makes a lot of sense, man. I guess you make a really good point there because if you went to a different universe, like it reminds me of like people who have GPSs, right? Like
Yeah.
GPSs work within the Earth, but if you took them to a different location, they wouldn't work because there wouldn't be satellites that support the GPSs, right?
Yeah,
So you're
like
kind of saying it's something similar to that.
like you couldn't put a GPS on the Mars rover and navigate around Mars. It would be
We're like take
lost.
take a left turn here, take
Yeah.
a right turn here, go down this aisle of red rock, keep
Yeah.
driving. It's like, no, that's not how that works. But yeah, I guess that makes a lot of sense. I guess I didn't put two and two together, but no, absolutely, you're right. Like if you have some, but then I guess if he was saved, hypothetically speaking, right? If the Avengers showed up to save him, then in your theory, they wouldn't be able to help him.
Yeah, because they wouldn't
They
have
would
their
be
powers either.
they would be trapped there just as much as anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing they would have is their physical abilities, which the only person that probably have an advantage there would be like Black Widow, Hawkeye, maybe
Maybe the
Captain
Hulk.
America, the Hulk. But Iron Man's suit might not even work there. Thor wouldn't have his powers there, so Mjolnir wouldn't work there.
Mhm.
Stormbringer wouldn't work there.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, because I was like maybe Iron Man's technology would work there, but again, I mean, he flew off a different planet and still worked there. So like, would it
Yeah,
technically work? Because maybe it's more so science than some kind of like
ability
maybe
or
yeah, it's like a special ability or something. So maybe he'd be able to use like his rock, shooting a rocket there, right? It's gas propulsion and propulsion, all this other stuff, right? Again, not a physicist here, so I don't know how rockets work, but you get my point. Like, I wonder if he'd be able to still like use, if it's like gas or some kind of like, energy thing that's get shot out and then like shoot somebody and blow some shit up. Like, would it still blow up, right?
yeah. But then in this timeline, there's no more Tony Stark, so
Oh shit, you make a good point. Which goes back to kind of what we were talking about a little bit before. It was like time variance authority, right? They said it's three characters. Do you think we'll get to do you think we'll get to see them? Do you think at some point we'll get to talk to them, or is it always just like these like godlike figures that are behind closed doors, right? It's like that secret society that runs everything, but you don't get to see them.
maybe when the Eternals come out, they might put him in there.
You make a good point, right? Because in the Eternals, right, isn't kind of the storyline, and I don't know, I read a little bit about the Eternals, but it seems like they are some kind of this group of individuals that like, oh yeah, we're watching all this stuff, we are not going to get involved because we
Yep.
don't think we need to.
Yeah.
And so you think the TVA is kind of something similar to that, where they're like, we don't want to get involved, and then oh shit, okay, now we get to come out and be involved. Now we have to come be a part of this, right?
Well, I mean, maybe you probably have to see who created the Eternals and who created those three that um that control the timeline.
Okay. I think we're going to be all like, I think eventually all the Marvel phases are going to end at some point. I mean, it'd take forever. And at the end, we're just going to realize that the main creator always was just like Stan Lee or something. Like who we're gonna defeat? We're gonna defeat our creator, and then eventually find out that it's just Stan Lee. He's just chilling behind with the pencil, just kind of like creating all this stuff. Just like, yeah, you guys thought you controlled everything, and we're doing everything, but it was just me, just some regular guy from New York City, just hanging out, right? So, but no, I did like one other character that I really liked, even though she was kind of a punk to him, was Hunter B-15.
Yeah.
She's also in the show Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you've ever seen the HBO series Lovecraft Country. I can't talk here, but if you get a chance to watch it, man, highly recommend. I think it's based off an old novel, and but she's in that. She's awesome in that too. But it's cool to see her and how her dynamic is with Loki, and she's just like no nonsense. And then I love the comedy of Loki's character, right? And when he eventually steals the gadget or the little clicker where he's able to kind of reverse time and kind of like edit it and stuff.
Yeah.
And whenever she gets caught and he starts doing it to her, and that was very funny.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really liked about the series. And another thing too, it's like I was saying, that he kind of, well, I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit, when he was talking about like being, when he was broken, right? Like, you remember the scene where he's watching like his mother die, and he gets to watch his life played out, and how eventually Thanos, spoilers here if you haven't seen the movie, a lot of people have, but if you haven't, Thanos grabs him and starts choking him and eventually kills him, right? And he gets to see the ending of his life. And I think he eventually kind of sees like, oh, well, like, I guess that's not who I thought I was going to be, right? Like, he's this king of Asgard and all this other stuff, and it's like, no, man, you're not nobody. But in that scene, something that a little Easter egg that I read was that scene was kind of modeled after Toy Story, right? Like Toy Story 1, when Buzz comes in and they first introduce his toy, he comes in, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm the protector of this universe. And he's reading all the lines from the cartoon, or the that he's from within the show. And then eventually he watches a commercial where he's being made and produced, and he's not unique, he's not different, he's not who he is. And it's, again, very reminiscent of Toy Story, right? But that was kind of like a quick little wink from the writers and the directors of Loki, where they were like, hey, we wanted this to kind of mimic that a little bit, right? And Tom, he does such a great job, and he's a great actor. I love his acting, and he does a great job there. And I really liked that little wink or that nod to Toy Story, right? Of course, Toy Story, another Disney film, right? Or as Pixar. Sorry,
Pixar.
I got that wrong. I'm so sorry. It's actually Pixar, so they're Pixar. But I like that. Another thing too, you and I were talking about before, was the Peggy Carter Easter egg, right? People are speculating that Peggy Carter was in the TVA little realmscape, right, within that parallel universe, man, which would mean that she did something to end up there as well.
Or maybe she works for the TVA.
That is another good point. Yeah, maybe she does work for them. Maybe she's witnessing all this stuff and knows that, like, hey, like, I have to keep playing my line in order for me to still end up with Steve Rogers, right? And people don't know, Peggy Carter was somebody that Steve Rogers falls in love with, and eventually, if you watch all the films, especially the Avengers films, at the end, goes back, gets to relive his life with her, become an old man, and marry her, right? And lives out a very happy life. So that's what Peggy Carter is. Some other fan theories and stuff was WandaVision, right? And within the show, she's all kind of going through different parallel universes and stuff, and living her life in different segments. And people were saying like, oh, is she going to be another character that is going to be sought after by the TVA, right? The Time Variance Authority, are they going to come after her and try to get her and do the same thing they did to Loki to her, right? So that's kind of a good thing. And then was there anything else from the Loki series that you really liked there?
I mean, I like how they how they kind of fleshed out Loki's character a little more, gave him more personality. I mean, he has personality, but more emotion, I guess. Like, he tries to come off as like cold and calculating, like he doesn't care. But especially when they show him and their mom die, him and Thor's mom die, you can tell that he really does. He is someone that cares and not not just
Yeah.
someone that is all about conquering and killing and all that other stuff.
What is he? The god of mischief, right?
Yeah,
Doing mischievous things.
yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where this series goes. I think every Wednesday is going to be something to look forward to now instead of every
Oh,
Friday.
yeah. I'm excited too. I like that. And spoilers. But who is the character that Morbius, right, is after?
I mean, it's a variant of himself, another version of Loki. So
It's another variant of Loki. So
from a
what?
different timeline, must be.
It must be from a different timeline, but it's him where he goes, possibly gets captured, escapes, and then uses some of the things that they use to jump from
Timeline to
different
timeline, or
timelines to timelines.
yeah, yeah. So I'm excited to see where this goes. See what they do
Same
with
here, man.
this.
Yeah, another little Easter egg, man, that I really liked that I know you and I were talking about was DB Cooper.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was probably one of the coolest parts of that episode. I was like, when they first showed it, the airplane, I'm like, wait, is he DB Cooper now?
Well, it took me a second. Not gonna lie, right? Like like I saw it, and then she was like Mr. Cooper, and there's a bunch of police out, and he had like a bag of money, and then like he jumped out, and I was like, wait a minute, why does that sound very familiar? And then of course Owen Wilson was just like, he's like, yeah, the DB Cooper thing, and then why did he say he did it?
He lost a bet to Endel and Thor.
Yeah, he's like, I lost. He's like, he lost a bet from Hindel and Thor, right? So he did that, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, right? Because
Yeah,
if for people who don't know, right, the story of DB Cooper, right, or like the news in the media reported it as DB Cooper. DB Cooper is actually Dan Cooper, right? So this guy bought a plane ticket by the name of Dan Cooper. They didn't. He was unidentified. Nobody knew really who he was, and he hijacked a plane that was flying from Portland to Seattle.
yep,
And when he made the stop, he requested, what would be equivalent to about $1 million worth of cash and 4 parachutes. And on the way from Portland to Seattle, uh, they say that he jumped out of the plane. Right, the theory is that he jumped out of the plane and landed and took $1 million, took $1 million, and he's never been seen again. Right,
disappeared.
disappeared. And there was the FBI searched for this guy for 45 years. This is still an unsolved case
Yeah,
till this day, right? I think I was reading earlier that there was some kids that found some banknotes back in the 80s that were from that bank, and so they reinvestigated and they were reinterested as to what was going on. And it
yeah,
was like, they searched part of the wood, like that's a very wooded area up there
yeah,
where he landed or where he potentially jumped out, and they couldn't find him. They don't know. They don't know. They were never able to solve that case.
yeah.
And
They also did an episode about DB Cooper on Expedition Unknown. I don't know if you've ever watched that show on Discovery, but
no, you've told me to watch it a few times, man. But what
yeah,
did you hear from the show?
so they checked that area where he supposedly jumped,
Mhm.
and there's a small town there that has like a DB Cooper festival every year. People dress up as DB Cooper. They have like, you know,
What?
barbecue or whatever. They have like a good old time. And then they also
Yeah.
went down to where them kids found the banknotes on the bank of it was like on the shore of like a river or something. And
Mhm.
they searched around there and looked for more. I don't know I can't remember if they found anything. And then, he goes and talks to different people all the time. He'll go
Yeah.
from like his investigation will change directions like 2 or 3 times during the episode. And so he met up with this other guy, and I think the guy's like retired military, and that guy's belief in the story is that he didn't jump there. Like he had the plane head towards Reno, and he jumped
Okay.
somewhere over the desert in Nevada.
Oh.
And so Josh actually jumped from a plane over the desert in Nevada to,
Oh,
see if
get
there was
out.
somewhere he could land there. And, of course, it's a big open desert.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're no closer than anybody else was, but it was a good episode, and it had my interest the whole episode, and I was fascinated by it. So if you ever get a
No,
chance, I would check that out. I would definitely check that out.
No, I will, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, I think any kind of person who performs any kind of heist or anything that like involves like some kind of criminal activity where you can get like a large sum of money really quickly and get away, like that's the dream.
Yeah.
And if this person is out there, like if this ever gets solved, right? If there's ever answers and this like person comes out on their deathbed and they're like, I'm DB Cooper, that there's gonna be so many unanswered questions, right? Like,
Well, I think some guy did come out on his deathbed and say that he was DB Cooper.
oh, seriously?
But, of course they can't, you know, at this point, what like specific details would someone know that only he knows? And, because the story's been told so many times and portrayed in the media and this and that. And I'm sure like most of the details have been put out in public um by whoever.
Yeah,
So what stuff would he know that he would say that only he would know, and that's the way to prove that he was DB Cooper?
well, a few things here, right? One, I think there's a few ways that they would know, right? One is they had to have known, and maybe they didn't, but they had to have known, like, I don't know how much they keep up with like serial numbers within bills, but like they had to have known, right? They
Yeah.
had to have marked it, like written down the serial numbers, or at least some of them, or something like that. They had to have written something down to know that these bills were being taken, right?
Yeah.
And so they've had to circulate it somewhere in the country, unless he left the country, right? And gave that money to a different country and got some money. He's in Canada hanging out, using Canadian money and just being happy. I know, right? It makes me think of Loonies and Toonies, right? Like,
Yeah.
but he exchanged it for that. So that's one way. But two, let's say he didn't spend the money, he just kept it the entire time, and some random old guy is just like, look, I got $1.8 million under my bed. I'm DB Cooper, right?
Right.
Even then, it's just like, well, is he really DB Cooper or not, right? And then two, it's and I don't think he would have even survived this long, but if he had the plane ticket still,
Yeah.
if he had the plane ticket that said that he was, or maybe he had an alibi, or the opposite of an alibi, and be like, hey, like I wasn't here on this day, I was actually here.
Yeah.
I entered this plane, I got on this, I jumped out of the plane, or something bizarre that like involves DB Cooper and how he did it. But yeah, it's like, how would we know at this point, man? You have no idea, right? Unless
Yeah.
they had DNA evidence from the plane or from something to kind of match those two things. I don't think they'd be able to know, like, if somebody came out and said that they were, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, where'd the money go?
Yeah.
That's what my question is. Like, where's the money? Like, obviously, it's out in the wilderness. Let's say he landed, died, and the money was still out there, man. Money, especially paper like that, man, it disintegrates, especially out there this long. I don't think it's going to stay out there if it's raining,
Yep.
if it's, all that stuff. Like, the stuff's going to just deteriorate.
Yeah.
So at that point, like even if he died, like that money's it's not safe. And if somebody found it, they'd probably touch it and it just go into dust,
Yep.
So if you're trying to explore the Pacific Northwest to find DB Cooper's money, man, good luck, because that stuff is, unless he put it somewhere,
Like
in
some
a like,
Ziploc bags or something.
I mean, well, it makes me think of like Pablo Escobar, right? Like they said that that man had so much money that he was putting it in plastic bags and burying it in his yard, and
Yeah.
he would like uncover it, and it was worthless. Like it just
Yeah.
would fall apart. It was money, or it was dirty, disgusting. Like you'd have to put them in some kind of vacuum sealed like contraption, like within metal, to make sure like rats and stuff don't eat it. Like I don't know where he would put it.
Yeah. Are that, like them vacuum seal them bags that you can hook the vacuum cleaner up and it sucks all the air out?
Yeah, but does he have a vacuum cleaner out in the wilderness
Right. With
somewhere?
long ass extension cord.
It's like this. Does he have a vacuum bag? Like, did he have one on the plane? Is he plugging it into like the cockpit or something, and just like, I'm gonna vacuum seal this bag, and just, you know what I mean? Like,
Were
where
those
was he?
things even invented back then yet? Them
I have
bags.
no idea. Probably not. But maybe he did. Maybe he was on his way while
And,
parachuting, was vacuum sealing it using solar panels or something, man. Trying to, you know.
or maybe Bigfoot found the money and he's
Oh
walking
shit!
around
Here
with
we go.
bags of money.
Here we go. Yes.
If you find Bigfoot and he's mad and it like matted in his furs, like wadded up bills, then he probably found DB Cooper's money. Maybe he ate DB Cooper.
No, no, no. He ate DB Cooper, and he has a coat made out of money. It's not even Bigfoot. Or he finally afforded to get a haircut. He got like waxed off all his hair, and it's like some hairy guy or some shit like
And
that.
now
Some
he's
guy
calling himself DB Cooper.
there it is. There it is. Dan Cooper to be exact. I was like, with Bigfoot, you might as well say that him and the Loch Ness monster are partying right now, and they're taking Molly at EDM concerts and shit. So they're
Right.
hanging out, man. They're having a good time. Everybody's too high to realize. Like, you go to those places, everybody's too high. They're just like, oh shit, that's Bigfoot. What's up, Bigfoot? And they're high fiving him, and he's having a grand old time. And the abominable snowman too. Fuck it, why
Right.
not? Lucky leprechauns. Leprechauns are there too, man.
And a couple of aliens.
And a couple agents. At this point, it's like, oh shit, like DB Cooper, man, is or Dan Cooper is now the person that is like, now he's Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
He's that myth. It's a cool myth that we're all fascinated by. We're like, what is this shit? We want to know what it is, right? Like, is it true? Is it not true? Did he survive? Did he not survive? And did he make out with that money, man?
So he landed out there and just became a mountain man, grew his hair out. He's just a wild man now.
Well, you ever seen Without a Paddle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of. Anytime I watch that movie, right? It's like, I think it was Burt Reynolds, right? I mean, he wasn't DB Cooper, but like that was his partner or something, and he has like the beard. He's a mountain man. They're out there eating like squirrel or whatever. And at the end, he has like Cooper in his backpack, and he's just gonna go bury him and stuff. So I like that movie. I thought that was cool that they kind of referenced that. And of course, like, we deviated here from Loki, but I liked that aspect of it, man. I was like, oh, cool, like he's part of it. But it makes me think, like, what other parts, like, what else did he do?
Yeah, it'd be cool if they, like, every episode explored something that he, like, lost another bet to Heimdall and Thor and had to do something else crazy.
Like unsolved mysteries. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I was a part of the Kennedy assassination. Like, he's like, I didn't know it was gonna do that kind of damage, like, or whatever the case may be. He's like, oh, I was trying to throw something and it accidentally hit him, and or some shit like that, right? So, or reminds me of like Forrest Gump, when Forrest Gump is like, he's just a part of historical events, and he's just walking through. He's like, I'm just here, I'm just here, just hanging out. But yeah, man. So I'm excited to see what else. Like you said, waiting for Wednesday to see kind of what that turns into. But since we're on the topic of like multiverses and timelines, I know we kind of talked about like the Spider-Man movie, right? And then, like you said, like there's some speculation there, but also the Flash movie, right? The upcoming Flash movie with Ezra Miller as Flash. There's rumors that there's other Batmans in different timelines that are going to come back and make an appearance. One that's been not approved, but confirmed is the Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh, so I thought he was going to be in the next Batman movie with. So he's not part of the Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
He is not a part of that one, because I believe the Robert Pattinson one is year one Batman.
Oh,
right. Like he's that first person.
Yeah.
He's Batman. Like after he went to boarding school and learned a bunch of stuff. And I was like, I want to learn kung fu and then wear a mask and beat the shit out of people, So, so he kind of made that direction. But I believe Michael Keaton is in the Ezra Miller film, as well as Ben Affleck. So Batflick will also be in the Flash movie.
So is the person playing the Flash, is it the same character as the TV show or as the Justice League movie?
Justice League movie.
So it's so weird that they would like, at the same time that a Flash TV show is going on, they wouldn't use the guy playing the Flash in the TV show. Are these two different universes in the DCU, or?
And again, we were kind of talking about it like last episode, right? Where we were like really fat. Yeah, we were like, oh, that's so cool that Disney can have these big budget films with these characters and then make TV series out them. Where like, I don't know if you remember that I think it was like on ABC, or I mean, everybody has different channels, but it was like that. It was the Superman television show.
Yeah.
And they had, goodness gracious, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was Superman was on television. And it's just like, they didn't use any, gosh, what is the guy's name? I have to look this up, man.
Is that Smallville? The Smallville show, or?
No, it was another one. I can't remember. Dean Cain. I think it had Dean Cain on it. Yep, Dean Cain was. So there was a Superman television show. It was Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman. Dean Cain. So like again, Dean Cain was like a they didn't get like some A-list celebrity to be Superman. They got Dean Cain to be Superman, and he was a great Superman. I liked him as like Clark Kent, and I also liked him as Superman. But kind of going back to like what we were saying in the last episode, like you could do those kind of things. But to your point, like why hasn't DC done that as well?
Yeah,
like I would have liked to see that Flash, right?
The Flash TV series was already like established before Justice League came out.
I think it was.
So, I think people actually ask that question, like, why isn't the person that's playing the Flash in the TV show playing the Flash in the movie? Like, why would you insert somebody else?
Yeah, and again, back to what we were saying, like they should do that.
And it's not like you're going from a big budget movie to lower budget TV. You're going the opposite direction, lower budget TV to a big budget movie. For sure, you could have got that guy to play the Flash for less than whatever you paid the guy that you paid to be the Flash.
True. And I liked.
Unless Zack Snyder didn't like that guy, maybe he met him and didn't like him. Maybe he's like, fuck this guy. He's a tool.
Dude, that's how it is sometimes, right? It's you meet somebody, especially directors, man. Like they're they have their vision, right? And they have the people who they want. And sometimes if you don't make that vision, you're not going to be a part of the story.
Yeah.
But I agree. I've seen it, and I can't think of what was it? I think the Power Rangers did that, right? Like I think the Power Rangers had a TV show, and they did take some of the characters and put them in like the big budget movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen it sometimes where like they'll make a show and then they'll make a movie out of that show, and they don't sometimes always take those same characters into that, right?
Yeah.
For example, right? I thought it was very funny, like when they were doing the Avengers. Marvel was like there were some Marvel characters that were on Netflix. I would have loved to see like the Daredevil character be with the Avengers.
Yeah.
He plays such a great figure within the Marvel universe, but because of rights and stuff, like he wasn't there. I would have loved to see Charlie Cox as a Daredevil in that universe.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it was always funny that like they would make references to like everything that happened in the Avengers in those shows, but wouldn't just bring those characters in there, man. So, but back to the point where you were saying, like, I would have loved to see that. Plus, like, there's so many different characters within the Flash TV show that need to be in the big, in the movies, right? Like Green Arrow, they did crossover. I think Adam, right? Adam was another one that they kind of brought into the show. I think Batgirl was another one. Like they've done crossovers, like pretty cool crossovers with those characters, but it's like, damn, like, can we get those characters in the movies too?
Yeah. Kind of getting off track, but you mentioned like, why can't Daredevil be in, the MCU or whatever? So I watched this YouTube video the other day, and this guy was talking about the upcoming Spider-Man, and like what, I guess he got some of his like information from, maybe it was Reddit or something like that. Some guy like posted like a leak of like what the plot or the story for Spider-Man was going to be. Yeah. And at some point, I guess Daredevil is according to this guy, is going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. But
I would hope so, right? Because
there's no, we won't know until we see it.
Yeah.
There's no that's just what some guy posted. Like he had like a whole plot story, and he like went through from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, and like talked about the Sinister Six were going to be in this movie. Like,
oh man,
they're going to pull the different. That's how you get all the villains from the different Spider-Man movies that have come out already.
Yeah,
by pulling them through the different portal, or I don't know what you call it, rifts in the multiverse.
Yeah.
So like Doc Ock and Goblin and Rhino and all those.
Oh well, yeah. Doc Ock is supposed to be in the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, which I forgot the guy's name. I think his name's like Anthony something. Let's see.
Yeah, because I think they probably use some kind of CGI or whatever to make him look younger or whatever.
Alfred Molina.
Molina, yeah.
Yeah, that guy who played Doc Ock was fantastic. He was great. I liked him a lot as Doc Ock, and I was hoping they would bring him back. And when I heard that they were going to bring him back in the new one, like, shit, man, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, come on, The Irishman. Did you watch The Irishman by any chance?
No.
So The Irishman is a Martin Scorsese film that's on Netflix, right? Like with CJ.
Okay, I saw the trailer, but I haven't actually watched it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right? It's a long movie. It is a long movie, but it is pretty good. But I mean, shoot, they made like you know, they made was it Robert De Niro? I think he's in the film. They made him look super young, right? And they made I think Joe Pesci's in it. They made him look super young. Um, and one of the greatest actors of all time. I am blanking on his name. I shouldn't even be talking. I should kick me off the podcast, man. Kick me off the podcast. Al Pacino. Al
Yeah.
Pacino is also in the film. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm terrible, man. But yeah, so they made them really young. They made them look really young. So it's if they could do that, then yeah, I mean they can make Doc Ock look young, and they make all
Yeah.
these other characters. But yeah, no, I would love to see Daredevil. Did you ever watch the series?
I saw. I'm not sure if I watched the whole first season, but I know I watched a couple of the episodes in the first season.
Yeah. I liked it a lot, man. I think Charlie Cox was amazing. Daredevil. The fight scenes were awesome, right? People used to always joke around like if it's a hallway, he's gonna kick some ass because like he
Yeah.
did so many cool, awesome, like his stunt double like did some awesome fight scenes and stuff. But there's a one really cool scene where he finally captures the Kingpin, right? And he's about to take him to jail, and he beats the crap out of him, and you know his character, right? And a lot of superheroes similar to like Batman, right? I know I'm crossing Marvel and DC here, but like what I mean by that is like I'm using Batman as an example because Batman doesn't kill people, and neither does um, you know Charlie
Daredevil.
Cox character Daredevil, right? So Daredevil doesn't kill people. He doesn't like it. Does not his mo. Like he wants he's a lawyer by day. He wants to
Yeah.
follow the law. He wants you to go through the due process and be tried that way, right? And there's a scene where he's like, he gets to the point where he's beating the crap out of Kingpin, and he's just like yelling, man. Like he just has so much pent up emotion because he knows that he can't kill him, and he knows it isn't right, and it's just like it's an internal struggle for him to be like, I know you shouldn't live, but I can't do it, right? So but anyways, what I mean by that is like his the way that scene is, man, it's amazing. And I was like, this guy, like, one, he needs to win an Emmy because it was amazing, but also just like I would love to see him in that universe, man. I think he played such a cool character, and the storyline was cool. I think John, I forget his last name, but John Brenthal, or I forget his name, but the guy who played the Punisher, he was
Yeah.
also,
Bernthal.
Bernthal. Yeah, like he was a great Punisher in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
The series was okay, like when he did his solo, but him in Daredevil was awesome. Like he was awesome to see in there. So, but I would love to see Daredevil, man. There's a bunch of characters I'd love to see like eventually grace the screen, and I think that would they'd make a difference within the Marvel universe, right?
Yeah.
Or the DC universe if they ever did bring those characters from television shows to the big screen.
Yeah.
And Ezra Miller, like, yeah, he's great. I think he's awesome. He's a good. I mean, I don't know about him about like as a human, he's kind of shitty because he's done some fucked up shit. But as an actor, man, like he's a good actor, right? And
Yeah.
I think that he will do do Flash and do Flash very well. I mean, he did him really well within like the Justice League film.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see him kind of where they go with that direction, and maybe they'll bring in that Flash from the television show, right? Maybe
Yeah.
they will. We don't know, right? Because again, it's different multiverses, right?
Yeah.
So and I know there's different characters within that show, and they've shown them, right? There's like I think there's like, was it Barry Allen, and then who I think it's I want to say Flash Gordon, but it is not Flash Gordon. Flash Gordon is a whole different character. But Barry Allen is one of the characters, and there's different characters who played the Flash, right?
You're talking
And
about
then
in the series, right? In
yes,
the
well, yeah,
television
well, I mean,
series.
in a television series, yeah. Let's see the different characters.
Yeah, I don't. I've only seen a couple of the episodes of Flash. Also, I haven't. I guess I'm not. I'm not as big of a DC fan as I was or am a Marvel fan. Of course, I've always liked Batman. Um, started out with like the Michael Keaton Batman and Jack Nicholson as Joker.
Yeah.
But even growing up, I think I read more Marvel comics than I
Mm-hmm.
did, and even like other. I don't think I actually had any DC comics. I I had, like I said, Marvel and a lot of
Mm.
Image. I don't know if you've ever read any Image comics.
No, I didn't, man.
Like Gen 13. Oh man, I can't think of it. Like all the like I used to read a lot of Image.
I will say I either saw it was like a YouTube video or maybe like a Reddit thread or something. And one time they were talking about the difference between DC and Marvel, right? And they were saying that Marvel cinematically makes better big budget films, like the way they have, because of how the comics are written and how the images are kind of displayed, where it's like big, it's flashy, it's loud, it's like in your face. Where like a lot of DC characters, like your Batmans and your Supermans, are very very complex characters that take time to develop. So they
Yeah.
make better series than they do movies. And I think that's kind of been a huge miss within like the movie realm, right? Your Justice Leagues, your Superman versus Batman, just those different, your Wonder Woman's. Even though I really liked Wonder Woman, I thought it was a really good film. But they just don't make the same kind of, they're a little bit more slower pace, right? They need time to really get into who the characters are and develop them and be able to really tell their stories. I don't think you can just, Justice League just wasn't going to be the same as the Avengers, and
Yeah.
I don't think it ever was. Like there's just two different entities in who they were trying to be. Like they're not going to be, it's Darkseid. That's the one character they have to kind of go after. But and maybe they should have picked a better villain within the Justice League film, instead of the character that they had, or the villain that they had in there, which is I think it was Steppenwolf. Like he was a cool villain, and it was cool to see him kind of what he would do. But like I wanted Darkseid, right? Or I wanted maybe some like the Joker or some other characters that were huge villains within the DC world, and take them on, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't, right? They didn't kind of provide them. So but Marvel, like they gave us the characters we wanted. Even though I mean I still would have loved to see the X-Men in there. I like Bryan Singer's direction and what he did with X-Men, but I would like to definitely see a better take or a different take on them, and see them kind of go a different direction. And I mean, I want some Galactus. I want to see Galactus in the film. I
Yeah.
don't want this like, oh, there's this thing coming. It's in the background in the universe. We can't really see it. It's just devourer of planets, and then it just disappears, right? Like, no, I want
Yeah.
some Galactus, man. I want to see him in the Marvel universe. I want X-Men and all those characters, which I heard that they're in the talks. They're trying to make that happen, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see. And the Fantastic Four, they were always huge characters, right? I actually liked the first Fantastic Four films. Were they the best? No, but I enjoyed them. I thought they were still a good ride. I mean, I didn't even take time to watch the remake, man. Like, I know I had high hopes, but I was like, I don't know. I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. So some of the more notable Image comics. I mean, everyone knows Spawn. Spawn is Image Comics.
Oh shit! Yep.
So, they're one of them.
Todd McFarlane, right?
Well, Todd McFarlane does them figures. He's mostly known for those. So one of the newer um Amazon Prime series, Invincible, that's Image Comics.
Oh, you said you love that show, right?
Yeah, that was good. And so Omni Man started that series out as his own comic. And then from Spawn Universe, Violator had his own comics. Angela. So, I read more of Image Comics and Marvel than I did of DC.
All right, man. I had to check. I had to check it, man. I had to check it. But Todd McFarlane was definitely comic book creator. So I think he
Who did he?
definitely.
Who did he write? Did he write? Was he a writer on?
Yeah. So he's actually wrote for the big.
So
So some of his notable works, right, were the Amazing Spider-Man, Batman Year Two, the Incredible Hulk, Infinity Inc., Spawn, and then
Spawn.
Spider-Man.
So he
Yeah.
did some of
So
Spider Man.
yeah. So he did do some of those as well. So and then Image Comics is, let's see, he yep, he came out. He kind of helped with Spawn. Yeah, so I guess he did the cover to Spawn 1. Yeah, he actually helped create Spawn. And I guess he did like a Batman and Spawn like edition where they kind of like fought each other, or kind of like possibly teamed up or something like that. But yeah, no man. So um, he was definitely that guy to kind of help out with some of that stuff. And I think he even said, they even, just doing a quick read, right? They said that he was a person that was like really heavy with the Spawn movie, right? Was like really had
Oh
a huge
yeah,
influence in it,
yeah.
right? So I mean, it's your baby, right? You want to make sure that it takes off, right? Which I like the film, man. It's I can still watch it now,
So
you know.
um he's actually one of the founding members of Image Comics.
Yes. Yeah, and he's also a creator of the Spawn, or Spawn, character.
Yeah.
Which that's an interesting take. But yeah, no, I mean, Image Comics, yeah, I didn't know that they, you always hear, right, certain characters, and you're like, oh, this is a huge character, and then you don't know like where they come from, right? You don't know if you always assume that they're like either Marvel or DC, and then every once in a while, like you forget about those independent comic companies that like they put out some good characters, right? And I know that Image Comics like Spawn's a huge character.
Yeah.
His like abilities and what he can do. But I know we were kind of talking about DC, man. I think this is a good question to ask. Who do you think? And I think we maybe talked on it a little bit, but who do you think is the best Batman? I think you said Christian Bale, right?
I really enjoyed Christian Bale as Batman. I thought he did a really good job. I mean, those three movies were probably the best Batman movies since Michael Keaton. Like Val Kilmer, Batman.
Remember George Clooney?
Yeah. So those ones were really campy to me. Those are
Yeah.
like to me those were more like on par with like a B movie.
Okay. No, that's fair. I think that's a fair rating
Yeah.
or like assessment of them.
Like I think the villains were a lot better in the when Christian Bale played Batman.
Yeah.
Um,
First one being Scarecrow.
Scarecrow, and then the Joker. That was probably, aside from Jack Nicholson, like that was the best portrayal of Joker. I would put him even on par as Mark Hamill voicing the Joker in the animated series. Like
Dang, Joaquin
he,
Phoenix gets no love.
I mean, I like that movie. I like the Joker movie.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it could have been called anything, and it would have been a good movie. And it didn't even have to be, you know, the Joker. He could have been any character and played it like that, and it would have been, um, and it would have been a good movie.
We call it the Derek.
It could, he could have been anybody, because I think to me that that his character could, a lot of people could relate to his character. Like I think it would be harder to relate to why can't I think of his name? Heath Ledger's Joker. Like how many people can relate to that level of like, I wouldn't say crazy, but like how his character acted. Like how many people do you see would act, could be like that? But
I will say, go for it. Sorry.
But Joaquin Phoenix character, he was a loner. How many people are loners? How many people are like cut off from the world? And just because they're in their own head,
No, you make a good point, right? And I was gonna say with the Joker, with Heath Ledger's Joker, I liked the intelligence. Like he was aware and knew everything that was kind of like what his plan was, what he wanted to do. And I think he had such a real big picture view of society and wanted to test it to its fullest. Whereas Joaquin Phoenix Joker is just like you said, it's an origin story, right? Like it's the beginning of something, and it's like where would his character be if he had like kind of some kind of mental health issues and was beat up and struggling and trying to make it, and had was socially awkward and was kind of a loner and didn't really have many friends, and then like he got forced to be like like it was like society made him.
yeah.
Where like Heath Ledger's character was like, I know society, this is what I am, but I'm going to change it. Where, Joaquin Phoenix's was like, I'm in this world, this environment is creating me, plus myself is creating me, and I'm pushing back because I'm pissed off at everything that's happened to me. Where Joaquin Phoenix's character is like, I've been pushed too far. Like maybe it's an advanced character of Joaquin Phoenix. Like maybe if Joaquin Phoenix is like, if they came out with a sequel, which I've heard there might be rumors of talks of it, right?
Yeah.
Or at least they want a Batman universe that's within that same universe. There's no way in hell they could make it PG though, like PG-13. It had to be rated R, right?
Yeah, of course.
But like I think that was the beginning, right? That was kind of like maybe he becomes self-aware, right? At the end of the film, right? What do? They like pretty much put him on that car like Christ, and he kind of lifts up, and he's the chosen one within all the hoodlums and the people that everything that's going on with him, and it's like him being self-aware. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's too, like you said, maybe it's like it could be anybody, right? Somebody who's having bad week or bad month, or just been kind of running into a bunch of issues continuously, and he's just like, what, fuck this, I'm done putting up with society's bullshit. It's not pushing me anymore, I'm pushing back. And then eventually that leads to Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
Or if you see where I'm trying to go with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then even Bane, he wasn't like his comic book version of Bane, but it was still a really good version of Bane.
I mean, he was Mexican, which angered me, but whatever. Tom Hardy did great. Like Bane in the comics is Hispanic, right? Like he's a former like luchador, and then of course you get Tom Hardy. But I love Tom Hardy's Bane.
But I
really liked him.
It's not the same character, I guess. Like in the comics, he uses, I can't remember the name of the serum or whatever to make him get big.
Yeah. I say Venom. I think it's called like Venom or something like that. At least I remember it from the comic-y joke with like Uma Thurman, right?
Yeah. So, and in this movie, he doesn't have anything like that. He just has that mask as a breathing apparatus. So it has nothing to do with him like changing his physiological form.
It's called Venom. They do call it Venom.
So yeah. See, it and I don't think any of that 3-part, those 3 Batman movies, I don't know how much they, aside from characters and a little bit of background, followed the comics. Of course the basis is there, him getting trained and all that stuff, but
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. But like I said, Bane didn't, he didn't follow his comic book at all, where he...
I would say it was slightly more realistic, right? Like I think that's what Christopher Nolan's direction was. He's like, how do I make this? He was trying to
like base it in reality as opposed to a comic book world.
Yeah, and I get that. I guess he didn't want it to be too gimmicky, right? He didn't want it to be what Batman in the 90s eventually kind of turned into, where it was like Tim Burton and yeah, man. And I guess he was just like, look, I don't want to go to that direction. Like, yes, I want kids to watch the film, but I also want adults to appreciate it as well. Yeah. And he did a good job.
And that's, aside from those Batmans, like that's part of my reasoning why I prefer Marvel over DC. Marvel is more grounded in our reality, as opposed DC is, all fictional cities. Gotham City.
Yeah.
Everyone comes from
Metropolis.
Metropolis. Right? It's all fictional cities. They might be based on someplace, like Gotham is loosely based on New York, but
Manhattan, yeah.
But Spider-Man is from Queens.
From Queens. Where's Captain America from?
From Brooklyn.
From Brooklyn.
Just a kid from Brooklyn. Sanatorium is in Manhattan. Those are all places that you can be like, I know where these places are.
Yeah.
So that and that was another that was something else that drew me more to Marvel than it did over DC, I think.
Yeah.
Was having that little bit, even if it's, of course, superheroes and all this stuff is, all that's fictional, but it's kind of loosely based in reality because of the locations.
Yeah. And then the gadgets, right? Like that's one of the things, like, what do they call it? Is it called the Tumblr?
Yeah, his Batmobile on that one.
His Batmobile, right? And then I like whenever he's talking to Lucius Fox and he's like, I need a suit that like I can go, what is it, like spelunking or cave diving or something like that, just to kind of survive that. And then he talks about like, hey, I need something that's like bulletproof but also knife proof or whatever, or just like, hey, if an animal bit me, what would happen? And he's like, are we talking about a chihuahua or something? Like when they made a little joke there, right? But getting those, that was cool. And I appreciated those little details, but I get where you're coming from, right? Like Marvel, they say like these are real places. This is Sokovia or whatever, which I think Sokovia is actually a fake city. But
of
it's
course they're
like,
gonna have to after a while start making stuff up.
Yeah, which makes sense. But I think that one also is more worldly. Like I know DC does get more worldly, right? Like it gets out there. But like Marvel, they touch on it immediately. They're like Guardians of the Galaxy, out of the universe. There's things besides us. We're not alone, and they kind of incorporate all that, right? And I do like the characters. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was this like pompous, rich asshole or whatever, which was great, right? And then you get Christopher Evans was just like this like his Steve Rogers was just like not naive, but a person that believed in good and order and things of that nature. And of course, they eventually get Civil War where they disagree, but it's cool to be like they make these characters human in a lot of ways,
make them more relatable.
And it was cool to see them like in their whenever some huge events were happening, they were all like at Stark Tower or wherever the Avengers home base is, and they're like hanging out just kind of talking about things. And there's even that one scene where like I think it's in Age of Ultron whenever Steve Rogers is about to pick up the hammer, right? But they're all sitting there like after party, like drinking and just having a good time, right?
Just chilling out.
Or Batman just like, I'm this philanthropist playboy and just kind of do whatever I want and party it up and hang out and stuff. Which again, I know we're kind of deviating here, but since we're kind of on the DC, do you think Superman will ever work?
What do you mean?
Like his character's not like it's like when people ask the question like who would win between Superman and Batman? What's the obvious answer? Like people can make the argument, right, and say that Batman could win and he could, but like people always like, oh yeah, if Batman was walking down the street, right? Bruce Wayne was walking down the street and Superman just flew by at like 200 miles per hour and just take him out. So it's just like, what I'm trying to ask is like, is Superman too perfect that he can never have, like the perfect villain, the perfect person to fight, the perfect person to like, it's tough for a character who's supposed to be invincible that can never be defeated except by kryptonite. Without kryptonite, like, can he die unless he goes to a different planet that doesn't have the same kind of sun? But like it's like people always make the arguments like, can Superman, because like Henry Cavill as Superman in the first Superman, it was good, but I also remember watching it at one point in time and falling asleep watching it. And maybe it was like a director thing or something. I don't know, but like it's like he's such a perfect character in a sense. It's like, will he ever work?
And that was that's always been one of my biggest gripes about Superman is his arch nemesis is just a rich guy, Lex Luthor. Like he's just a rich guy. He builds contraptions, like kind of like on par with Batman. Except for an evil version.
Oh, I never thought about it, but that's a good comparison.
So there's nothing, like there's no real like threat to Superman. So, to me is, I don't know. I never got into Superman. But I never liked Superman. To me was, what's the point? If you got no one that can, that can stand up to him toe to toe, what's the point of him?
And that's what I was kind of trying to get at is just like, I know, like you just said, you're not a huge fan of Superman, but like, will he ever work? Will he ever be, it's tough because like you make a good point. Like, will anybody ever really appreciate him? Is he a character that just like, is just too perfect, right? Like you want a character that has some weaknesses and you don't want it to be some green rock. You want him to have, can he relate to us? He's an alien from a different planet. Yes, he grew up in a small town and he's supposed to be portrayed as a small town, like a small town kid who goes to the city and tries to do some things, but like, he's just too perfect. Like I hate to say it that way, but he is too perfect. Like he's too strong. He flies too fast. He
bulletproof,
bulletproof, can shoot lasers out of his eyes. I
X-ray
think he had
vision.
X-ray vision. Like who can beat this guy?
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Like he was beating up bad guys and mobsters when they first kind of, Detective Comics back in the day and everything. But like, who's like, can he be defeated? Yes, he can be defeated, but it's like some unfortunate circumstances and stuff. And yes, he dies, and people are like, oh my god, he dies. And it's just, I don't know, man. I like the character and I always did as a kid. I was always more of a Batman guy, just 'cause I was like, oh, this is a human guy that has martial arts, and yes, he's rich and he uses gadgets and stuff. But Superman, man, it was always like, I liked the character, I really did. But as I'm getting older, it's like, man, is it ever going to work? How can they tell a good origin story for Superman, or how can they tell his story so that like he has people who can compete against him?
He doesn't like. I don't think he elicits an emotional response from people. Like, if something were to happen to Superman, I'm not gonna be like when I watched Endgame and Tony Stark died. Like, I was in the theater and I cried. Like, I cried in the movie theater when Tony Stark died. I was like, I've watched Tony Stark from, of course I read the comic books, but from 2008 in the first Iron Man. And, we all kind of grew with this character from 2008 until when did Endgame come out? Was that 2019 or
2019? Yeah.
So, 11 years we watched his character, become like this arrogant asshole to someone that like turned into someone that gave a shit.
Yeah.
And he tried to be a father figure to Peter Parker towards the end. And he wanted to have a family with Pepper Potts. And, that's someone that you could elicit an emotional response from. And it did. I'm sure I'm not the only person that cried when Tony Stark died in Endgame.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
And like when Superman died, and did he die in Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, he did.
So I was just like, all right. Like it didn't hit me. It didn't affect me. I was just like, all right, Superman died.
But it's almost like and one of my friends, and again, I'm not trying to get biblical or religious or anything like that, right? But it's like one of my friends broke it down to me like this. They're like, he's pretty much a Christian allegory, right? Like his father, like his world is destroyed. Like his father sends him to another world. It happens to be Earth, and he gets raised by a different father, different family. He's supposed to be like this prodigal son that like saves the world and does all this great things. So it's like, it's almost that Christian allegory, right? Like he comes in and he's I'm not comparing him to Jesus, right? But it's like in the same like metaphor aspect, right? Like he kind of is, right? And it's like, can he be defeated? No, he can't. In a lot of ways, he can't. Not your average person.
Yeah.
Your average person could kill Tony Stark. Your average person could kill Batman, right? Like they have the ability to do that. They catch them off guard, like they're done, they're dead, right? Hawkeye, I don't care, we're not gonna talk about Hawkeye, but yeah,
Hawkeye's just a normal dude that is really good with bow and arrows and knows some grappling techniques and hand to hand or whatever.
Yeah, and so
or Black Widow, she's a trained assassin, but if someone else was trained as much as her, they could probably take her in a fight.
Not even then, like if a building fell on her. Like a giant boulder or something like that fall on her, she's done.
Yeah. They're
squishing the bug.
Yeah.
and she's done. So that's why I wanted to get your opinion on that, man. But it's good to know that it's interesting to know that like you're just never been a fan of Superman, and you're the reason why I didn't know that going into asking you that question. But I'm glad I asked you that question because I was curious. I was like, will it ever work?
Yeah.
Right. Will Batman, or not Batman, but Superman ever work cinematically? I think it'd make a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
Right. If you gave him some actual good opponents in the game or something. But like, who's taking on Superman?
Yeah.
He's too perfect. Like he's too good. Like he doesn't, like, who's he gonna fight that's gonna challenge him enough to make it appealing on this, from a visual aspect. Yes, like his fight with General Zod and all this, Kryptonians and stuff, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool, right? And people had their hands up in arms whenever he killed that, when he killed him, right? He snapped his neck and
killed all those people.
Scenes, and he killed all those people. Yeah, man. But it was cool to kind of see, that, right? And I like that. But besides that, besides those, but that was somebody that had to be from his world that shared the same similar powers.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't your average person. It wasn't somebody that could hold up. So yeah, but I had to ask the question. I wanted to ask the question, get your opinions on it, because I don't know if Superman will ever really work. Like, I think it'll still sell tickets and stuff, but it's a hard sell, man.
Yeah.
And I think Smallville did a really good job of it, because like he was trying to be human.
Yeah.
And it told like human stories of him growing up teenage years.
Yeah. Who do you think would win in a fight between Superman and Homelander?
Holy fuck. I'm going Homelander. And the reason I'm going Homelander is just because he's a dirty mother effer.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I think it would be an awesome fight. But I think that Homelander is just that much more crazy that he'd go out of bounds to kill Superman. Like, if it was like, hey, I have to like push Superman into this building full of people, Homelander would do it for the sake of winning, but also to make himself look better, where Superman would be more cautious of the things around him. Yeah. Like, he doesn't want to just destroy things because of people there, but I think Homelander just doesn't give a fuck. And you don't want to fight somebody who just doesn't care. Like, you don't want to fight somebody who just has nothing to lose besides their image. And I think he would still be able to justify it to that point, right? Where like if Superman was like, Superman would do something to kind of take the easy route. And I think Homelander would kill Superman. Superman wouldn't kill Homelander.
Yeah.
Maybe Zack Snyder's Superman would kill Homelander, but in reality, like, Superman doesn't kill things. He doesn't want to kill things.
Yeah.
So I think that Homelander would be like, he has that edge of being like, he'd go all the way, where Superman would be like, no. He would say no. He'd be like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, Homelander might also like masturbate in his face or something like that. Like he at the end of I think it was season 2, when he's on top of that building and he's just jacking it, and you're just like, he'd probably do some crazy shit like that, man. Homelander's crazy, man. He's a wild character.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of the YouTube channel Bat in the Sun.
I have not.
So they have a series called Superpower Beatdown, and it's different characters fighting each other.
Okay.
And it's not just like DC versus DC, Marvel versus Marvel. It's everybody. Like,
is it the same? Is it the same YouTube channel where they like actually break down and they compare their abilities?
No.
Compared to the other characters? Because I remember I've seen a video where it was like Superman versus Goku, or like Spider-Man versus Batman. And I don't remember what the YouTube channel was, but it gave you like all the rundown, right? These people were great. I don't know. I mean, we're plugging them here, but I don't know who it was, but I saw some videos and it was like these characters versus these characters. And it showed you who would win in a fight based on like everything that they knew in the comic books about these characters, right? What their strengths were, what their weaknesses were, how strong they were, how strong they weren't. And we put them together and fight and make them go at it. And see kind of like who would win. And it was cool to see. It was cool. They had some really cool fights in there, and they had some really good like information as to like who would win in these certain fights and stuff.
So these are all like most of them are live action.
Oh, that's cool.
Like the characters fighting each other. So there's I think there's 35 of them. So there's like Darth Vader versus Gandalf. Batman versus Wolverine, Superman versus Thor, Wolverine versus the Predator.
Sorry, man. I don't mean to laugh, but it makes me think of epic rap. There was
Battles of History.
Yeah, epic battles.
That's
epic
one of my
rap battles.
favorite things ever. So one of these that I totally disagreed with, and it made me mad, was White Ranger versus Scorpion.
Oh.
So it was a good fight, but the ending, I was so mad at the ending. And
I'll have to watch the ending, man.
Yeah, watch it so we can talk about it because.
Okay.
But there's 35 episodes. So, and really the 35th episode is just Batmobiles racing. So not an actual fight. So you can probably skip that one.
But do they give you breakdowns of like as to like some things about the characters, or they just have them fight and then they're
they do like an intro, and then usually they have like people at like comic book conventions. They ask the people like between this person and this person, who do you think would fight? And they'll give the people they ask will give like who they think will fight or who do they think would win and why they think they would win.
Okay.
And then they kind of use that fan polling to dictate where the fight is going to go.
Oh man, don't tell me about polling, because if that's the case, and then like I hope they ask like thousands of people or 10,000 people.
I'm sure they ask more
people.
than just like 5 or 10, 20 people.
Okay.
But yeah, I would check that out. Superpower Beatdown. And if you're listening and you haven't seen it, YouTube search Superpower Beatdown. Really good series. They haven't done anything in a while. Of course, with all everything that's been going on, probably hard to film in person, especially if you're, something like this and you're not a big studio.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned Epic Rap Battles of History. That's one of my favorite channels too. I love Epic Rap Battle of History.
I remember you used to send me videos all the time, man, and I would sit there and just die laughing. But they were great. They were great. These people who wrote the lyrics and stuff were fantastic. These guys were awesome.
All of the Hitler versus Darth Vader ones are phenomenal. Like if you've never listened to any of these, you have to like stop what you're doing and go and listen to Epic Rap Battles of History, and they will blow you away.
And you're like, thank me later. Everybody can thank me later.
Yeah. Or watch one of my favorites. I'm gonna have to try to find it now. Is I can't even remember what season it was because I think they've done 6 seasons.
Oh, have they really?
Yeah. Oh man. Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney. That one is hilarious. Okay. That one is one of the best. That's one of the best episodes, or one of the best rap battles. Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney.
Okay, I'll check that one out, man.
Yeah. So, anyone out there that's listening, check out Epic Rap Battles of History. Check out
Superpower
Beatdown. And you don't even have to tell them that we sent you. Say you found it on your own. I don't even care. Just as long as someone else watches it, because I love them.
Yeah, they're great. They are absolutely great.
Yeah.
At least not the Superpower Beatdown. I haven't seen that yet. I'm sure it's good. I will check that out. But yeah, the Epic Rap Battles of History are awesome. Like those guys are very creative, and yeah, we don't get paid shit to promote those people. So if you guys are listening and want to check them out, check them out. But also don't forget to check out We Three Bros podcast.
Yeah, we're here every week, or we're gonna try to be.
We're gonna try to be. Tell your friends about us.
Yeah, so
we're trying to plug ourselves within our own channel.
Plug our own channel in our channel.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about a lot. We got off track a few times, but I think we covered a lot today.
Yeah,
and I think we had some good conversations here. I think we got through a lot.
We definitely did, man. And, I definitely want to hear, your thoughts on the next, upcoming Batman film. I would love to hear what you think about Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Yeah.
So keep that in the back burner. And then we didn't even get a chance to talk about the He-Man series that's supposed to come out in July, man.
No, man.
I told you I saw the trailer and was super excited. That's why before we started this, I was like, hey, you have to watch it. So I'm glad you watched it. But hey, we'll have to talk about that next time, because super excited about He-Man upcoming, man. That's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Come back. Probably won't be next week because Joseph will be on vacation, but the week after, yeah, we can get some He-Man talk in there.
Hell yeah, I am down with that. Well, thanks to everybody for listening. It's always a blast to talk with you, Derek, especially about some of the things that we're passionate about and things that we enjoy. Can't wait to do the next episode, and appreciate everybody following and listening. If you guys don't follow or you guys don't listen, make sure to listen, make sure to follow, make sure to tell your friends about us. Or if you don't, man, it doesn't matter. Just keep listening. We appreciate all the listeners we can get. And yeah, man, that's all I got. As always, don't forget, he's out there. Bigfoot's out there, and Dan Cooper too.
Yeah,
Dan DB Cooper's out there too, and
both of them are just chilling in a cabin somewhere in Washington.
There it is. We're gonna send them We Three Bros T-shirts and some stuff if they can listen to. So I'm sure they were hanging out there with that money, man. So
yeah, and Justin, I know you listen to us, even though you're not, you're in the show. And I know you still listen. We miss you. We can't wait to have you back.
Absolutely, man. Come back already. Tell work to F off. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Yeah, people need their potato chips.
There it is, man. So yeah, we can't wait to have you back, man, to get in on some of this conversation, and I'm sure you would offer some great insight, man. So can't wait to all three of us get back together. So
yeah, and have a good vacation next week, Joseph.
I appreciate it, man.
Be
I'll
safe.
tell you guys, I'll tell you all about my adventures. So I'm going. So Denver actually has one of the largest comic book stores in the world. So I can't wait to go check that out, man. Hopefully I can pick up some good stuff there. So
that'd be awesome. Yeah, some more stuff to talk about, more content.
Hell yeah, man. Sounds good. Well, you guys have an awesome time, and can't wait till the next episode.
Yeah, see you guys later. Thanks for listening, and come back next week. We'll catch you on the next one.